This is the Superior fan palette. This is how it comes, not best of packaging. It comes with 42 colors. It comes with this art brush, little sponge, which is hooked on with Velcro, so you can take it off and wash it. Then all the paints come out and you can paint from the various colors. It doesn't give any color information, color numbers, a little bit on Amazon. And then all the way in the back, there is a little palette for mixing if you want to mix colors. So I thought I would just swatch these out. We really can't pre-activate. It doesn't come with a swatch card, so I'm doing my own. And here we go. All right. So can you use that sponge there? It's a cad yellow medium hue, I believe.
Do your drawings look like a little kid drew them? Then download.
Cad yellow. Okay. This is going to be fun. All right. Cad medium, again, these are just hues. Bees, yellow. Yellow, orange. No, bright orange, bright orange. Perm yellow. It doesn't look like perm yellow. All right. We're going to see if these line up to the colors I figured out that they were, so I'm not sure. Orange, red. It's a good thing that they activate really quickly. They're coming right up, so that's nice. Vermilion. Let's see here. This is the perm red. And I'm not using a watercolor brush, I'm actually using my Neptune brush. They're just such nice round. Well, they're all of the Neptune line is nice, but yeah. All right. And we'll see. This is going to pan out. Ha 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 ha. Let's see here. Okay. Nope, that still is red. So maybe these are. I looked up the colors. So our frugal crafter friend Lindsay thinks that all of these are made by Superior, but Superior wasn't giving, as far as I could tell, any information on the pigments. But I found another of these sets of 42 that had the names. Like this one's supposed to be alizarin crimson. So I wonder. Let's see, this is supposed to be a purple. Oh, and look at that, it does look purple. Hmm. See, 15, 16. I think this is supposed to be Indian red. And I'm swatching on 100% cotton paper. Bridge red. All right. Sort of a rust color, huh? Ultramarine purple. All right, here we go to the next palette. This one's supposed to be mauve. Well, that does look like mauve. And like I said, just with a drop of water, they are activating nicely. They are, that's got some movement in it. They are, I think, actually better than like a gravy set or, oh, of course I'm gonna, oh, we have a lot of movement. Start at that. I'm thinking that this might be a kind of a fun, I mean, the fan sort of design is maybe a teeny bit irritating. But just because, you know, you have to find your color, right? It's a hunt and peck kind of thing. I think maybe you can kind of see the colors down here. They kind of look like what they should. So that's supposed to, you know, have a little bit of communication there between those two colors. But you know, these are acting like real paints, which is nice. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of chalkiness or anything. I'm not seeing a lot of white. Yeah, I mean, there's a teeny bit of cream on there, but they're behaving like a watercolor would. Yeah, and yeah, so this is a interesting color, and there are some interesting colors in here. Now I'm wondering how they would mix. You know, they're drying a little lighter, as we would expect. As we get it going out, it does become a little unstable. Maybe we need to, I guess that's okay. You can see where that might be an issue. You know, but you know, if you were out on a picnic table, you know, this might be fine. And it is pretty compact. And these are just flat little slivers of paint that are in these pans, but there's actually a decent amount in them, it looks like. Would last a while. I mean, these are they're transparent. There's some gradation, which is kind of fun if you like that. Not everybody does, but I do. Yeah, that's supposed to be That's supposed to be hookers. Okay, yeah, I guess that's a little bit like that. That was Viridian. This is hookers. Cerulean. And the test on all of these cheaper sets is always the blues, it seems. Seems that, maybe the blue pigment is what's most expensive. And that's the, and maybe they go a little cheaper on it, I don't know. As far as light fastness, yeah, I wouldn't think these are just for play, for your journal. Don't think that we probably would want to do any art that we would sell with these. Oh, that's interesting. That one's got some real good hue in there. I don't know about brighteners or anything. I'm not seeing, that one I'd be a little suspicious of maybe. Yeah. They're bright, but I think it's from pigment. Whatever that pigment may be, it's obviously a student grade. This is the ultramarine. The test is always the ultramarine, right? And usually with a student grade, if I want a darker blue, I'll go over it again, But, like that cerulean here. That it's released a little bit more. I can come in and, yeah, maybe that needed a little more water on it. They act well on the, paper's everything too, right? So on the 100% cotton, they're doing well enough. Oh, I see that bottom pallette's helping to stabilize the assembly. That's good. Oh, this is supposed to be a fallow blue. That's not bad. It's real bright. They behave like watercolors. I'm suspecting that they will paint like watercolors, without a lot of frustration and push and all the things that go into, working with a student grade versus, an artist grade where, they practically paint themselves, right? But I can see that these aren't, they're not the worst colors ever. And, sometimes you can get these as cheap as like $10 on Amazon, and I know they're on Temu. I saw it and it's like, oh, okay. 15, I think is, they all say they would suggest retail more than that, I think. But, for 42 colors, 15. I know there's all these wonderful sets around $20, right? And it's really, I get addicted to these things because we're looking for that odd one that's going to behave like paints and do well. And there are some that do very well, and then there are some that are just so chalky, and, they might have, well, of course, they have a lot of they have a lot of just filler and so forth in them, but some of them I think also have, you know, I mean, really they are chalky. Some act pretty well, but might have charcoal in them of all things. So, you know, it's sort of a charcoal that liquefies instead of chalk. And they have an interesting texture as well, and might have their purpose, you know. These tones are actually quite nice. So these aren't bad. These are kind of, I could see having some fun with these. And you know, the thing about the student grade sets is that if they're a good one, is that when you can get that experience of painting, right, and trying some technique and such, but you know they're not precious in a sense, so you can play with them, and you know, and I don't know, they're a little bit liberating because of that, right? And then when you get to your more expensive paints where you've spent hundreds of dollars for 12 colors or 14 or 18 or 24 instead of 42, and you're mixing all your own colors, you might feel maybe a little more secure in what you're doing too, because you know you've already, it's like, oh, you know, I bet I could get this and this because I played and figured it out over here with a cheaper color. Oh, that is black. Yes, sirree. Yeah, that is really. Let's see if we can get some variation going on in there, so it's not just a big black blob. You know, I'm gonna go back and play with this one again. It's supposed to be, I think, Van Dyke Brown. So when I say, and this one, you know, I think the thing about this too is that if you're able to locate the color names, like I did some digging and found them, you know, you'll see that they have kind of standardized names, and there's a whole bunch of these and a whole bunch of different names. Art Me and Meaden even. I'm not sure if in the Meaden set there's a couple industry videos, you know, where they're being used by reps of Jerry or Rama, I think, and so you can get a better picture of kind of what they are. And though I think they'll just say, well, this is C38, which is yellow ochre, you know. And going over those again, you know, you can see how you can get you know, some more color going. That indigo is kind of fun. That ultramarine isn't too bad. That phthalo then and that Prussian blue, boy, they look like they've got something going on in there. Maybe there might be a little bit of brightener in some of these. So if I wanted to go back and find that yellow green here that's sticking out next to this permanent green, I wanted to play with those again. I'd go back, I would see, okay, this is 27, let's see, 21, okay, so I think that, let's see, and this is where it'd be good to have a palette, right? Is this the right color? Yep, that's the color I was looking for. And I just wanted to lay down a little bit more of it just to see what the second run at it would be. And this green had a little bit of spillover from that, so I might want to just give it a little bit more so I can see the true green. And again, I didn't activate these. I guess I could have sprayed them, right? Yeah, there we go. Starting to behave a little bit more, and of course we're touching again and having fun, commingling. There, sorry. Yeah, it just feels a little bit better going back in and throwing another coat on these, you know. So they're layering quite nicely. There you go. Doing a little bit more of what I would expect them to do. All right. Well, these are interesting. And let's see here if I have some more paper that we could play a little with. Let's see if we take a little bit of one of these blues. Say this, that is going to be, so this is where it's like, okay, where am I? You know, it's like, what number am I? Okay, so I'm number 32. And I might want to go back over here and say, okay, number 32. I'm not sure what blue that is. All right. Well, just going to lay it down. And I want to mix some of this cadmium yellow hue to it. All right. Put it on paper a little. Put the yellow on this side. And take some blue over on this side. And you can see that they are behaving like watercolors. That's fun. Hey, we're mixing. That makes me happy. All right, now I'm wondering how these will dry. So we'll see that here in a minute too. And then I want to just, let's add one of these earth tones to it just because I really want to see what these are going to do. Oh, there you go. Well, getting a little bit of a hard edge there, but you know, that's not bad. I mean, really. Let's see here if we grab purple. And I'm just going to grab another green. Now we're mixing on the paper. Again, you know, I have a fondness for neutrals, so these are some of my go-tos in my regular sets. You know, and then just going in with a clean brush and just some water and doing a little movement. But you can see how these are drying, and again, they're acting like watercolors, so that's what you would expect. They're kind of interesting. So this is intriguing me. You know, I might play with this a little bit. I'll have to see if I can get an actual little painting done, and I'll show it. It gives you an idea of what's happening here as these are drying. And again, to get some of the intensity, like any of the cheaper sets, you may, because of the pigment load not being as much, you know, as heavy as a better grade of paint, you might have to go in once or twice, like I did to deepen up a couple of these. But I think that's, you know, that's to be expected. And it, again, it's nice that it's not horribly chalky. Say 14. And again, as I deepen the color, I can't tell if that's just because I didn't add enough water the first time in, but I'm just assuming it's pigment load. There we go. You know, and as I've said before with these, you know, making art and painting and the stress relief that can come with this, and it doesn't have to be forever, right? If it's hidden away in a book, in a journal, if you're coloring with it, but still you want to have something that, gives you the watercolor experience, I would think, right? I would want that for you, and yeah, so let's see, 8 is this one. I believe. And this is 9. Again, it's supposed to be vermilion. I think it's definitely worth going over again. Now I have too much going on there. I think that's like an orange red. Yeah, so just going back over. Anyway, yeah, I'm just showing you what I'm finding, and it's really just encouragement to explore. There's a lot of, as I really mix that in, whoops, clean that off. One of the other things that I think is just, oh yeah, that's better. It's that finally picked up it's more of a cat orange. And there we go. Starting to look like real paint now. Yeah, as I go back in on these aren't bad. These are interesting, and I agree. I mean, it's like, I know that there's a couple of people that have done bigger swatches, of course, on these. I was just trying to make one that would fit like in a case. So when I put all this together, I wanted a swatch that was gonna fit, and this will do that. I cut it to size, and and I might just I don't know about laminating it, like I don't really do much of that, but where I could actually attach it to the back or something, that would be kind of nice. But this it shows you how to use the watercolor brush on the back. Yeah, that's what the back does. And again, there's some real play going on here. Their colors are talking to each other, and they're acting like watercolors. I love this. I do this color a lot on my other colors, but there's fun things happening here, and that's again, it gives you that experience, and then if you decide that you're gonna transition to a better student grade or artist grade, it won't be such a leap too. But if you just something to play with, these are quite nice for what they are. And I purchased this. This was not sent to me. I purchase all my stuff. I'm just a lone gal out here, but I think I use coupons, guys. Come on. And I get little promotional offers, and I think I paid $11.99 for it on Amazon. So, though I did see it listed at a couple other places too. I think it's currently $14.99. It's not bad. As I have little finds like this, I'll explore them with you. There's some I'm not really interested in, so I won't do those. But some of these are intriguing, and I know that they've been covered by other YouTubers. but hopefully, hopefully I have something, of value, again, just another fresh look, or maybe you haven't found those because it's been a couple of years. Some of these products are probably shelf worn. There was a big push during COVID, and, this one I think said that it was made or packaged in last year, so it's not that old. But yeah, this isn't bad. It reminds me a couple of the student sets that act like real watercolor, and that you can, probably get, something out of that might be fun, might be enjoyable to paint with, and so if you wanted to do something simple, this would give you that kind of experience. If you were following like a little video or what have you, I could, I can see that, and so if you want to drop in color, it moves, right, like a watercolor, um, like you would expect, and you can, yeah, it does some of the things that you would expect a watercolor set to do, and that can be fun, so mixing on my paper and making my little flower here. I don't know, I mean, it's just yeah, simple fun, and that's always, that's part of this, right? And takes you away from your worries for a few moments, and you know and I'm making a mess now, but hey, that's what it's about, right? Just having some fun. And but again, here I can mix some paper and get something that just, I don't know, it's fun. It looks like a watercolor to me, Might be a messy watercolor, but it looks a little satisfying, right? And that's, again, that's part of the experience. If I wanted to hatch with something, or add more detail to something, I can do that with these, and that's there you go. It's somehow satisfying, right? So, and yeah. There you go. Anyway, just something to play with. And sometimes that's all you really need, right? So, is something to play with, and, and being able to, now it's like super pigment loaded, being able to mix, and, and look, I mean, this has got movement. That's kind of fun. I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from, right? And that's interesting, right? So again, that's the type of thing that I would want to happen in something if I'm doing a loose watercolor and working some florals, but I can control it too, and at the same time, there's something interesting going on in here, and yeah, why not play, and enjoy yourself, and and it was one of these sets, these cheaper sets, just for the heck of it kind of thing, that brought me back to watercolor this time, and then I just went and dug out my old ones, and I was like, oh, okay, my professional ones, but I've been so much happier since I've done that, and I'm hoping the same experience will maybe come to you, and that you can find some joy, even if it is not a professional color watercolor set. That you're happy with yourself, even if you're on a limited budget, you can find like, oh, that one looks good. Yeah, maybe that one that Cheryl looked at, that one looked good. I kind of like that. Maybe I'll go look at that. Yeah, have a little ability to lift. Anyway, and then you get to go back here, and again, this is good watercolor paper. It's going to make a big difference, but as I'm lifting out some color, it does some things that other papers, celluloid, might not do. But it can make a really mediocre paint look amazing or look acceptable. And then again, there's some fun stuff going on in there, and it's transparent, and I'm not seeing a lot of chalkiness. So yeah, and there's some hues going on there, Anyway, I hope that you got something out of this and our little visit. All right, thanks. Bye.